From our Music News Center in Hollywood, here's Casey Kasem.
Hello again. This is Casey Kasem. This week, America's Top 10 goes to the world-famous Rainbow Room high atop Rockefeller Center in New York City for an exclusive interview with Blondie star Deborah Harry. And whatever happened to the Monkees? Where are Mickey, Michael, Peter, and Davy now? And what are they doing? Well, we'll find that out and more during the next 30 minutes on America's Top 10.
America's Top 10, a weekly report of what's happening in popular music in the USA today. Key recording artists performing their hits from the pop, soul, country, and album charts, as determined by Billboard's official surveys of record stores and radio stations throughout the country. America's Top 10 is being brought to you in part by the people in your town who bring you delicious, refreshing Coca-Cola and invite you to have a Coke and a smile. Once again, Casey Kasem.
Well, now it's time for the AT10 Album Spotlight Song of the Week, a song from one of America's top 10 albums. And here they are from number 10 to number 1. At number 10 is Departure by Journey. Number 9, Christopher Cross's first album. Number 8, Van Halen's Women and Children First. 7, the soundtrack LP from the film American Gigolo. Michael Jackson's Off the Wall has produced 4 hit singles, and it's number 6. At number 5, the Brothers Johnson, Light Up the Night. Linda Ronstadt's Mad Love is number 4. Billy Joel won a Grammy for his last album, and his latest contender is at number 3. Pink Floyd's The Wall is number 2, and at number 1 on the album chart for the second week in a row is Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band with Against the Wind. And there you have them, America's top 10 albums of the week. And the AT10 Spotlight falls this week on the album that has just spent 15 weeks at number 1. This week, it's number 2. It's an album about a man at odds with the world. A man who takes refuge behind the wall. Here's a film interpretation of the recent number 1 single from that album, Brick in the Wall. From Pink Floyd's smash album, The Wall. The AT10 Spotlight Album of the Week. Coming up next on America's Top 10, our exclusive interview with Blondie's Deborah Harry. One of the hottest acts in America today. 5 men and a woman. They call themselves Blondie. We sent our cameras to New York City, and high atop Rockefeller Center, we taped this exclusive interview with Blondie's lead singer, Deborah Harry. Hi, Deborah. Let's get right to the name calling. Some people call your music punk rock, others call it new wave. What do you call it?
I don't call it either of those. We don't usually try to label ourselves. The only thing we've ever called ourselves is rock and roll or pop or modern music. But none of those terms really apply musically to anybody.
Deborah, your hit single, Call Me, is from the soundtrack LP of the movie American Gigolo. It's in the top 10 right now. And how were you specifically involved in that?
American Gigolo, Giorgio Moroder wrote the music, and I wrote the lyrics. And they were specifically written for the movie, and they are about the story, they're about the plot. And the Blondie group performed the song.
Deborah, in an underground motion picture called Union City, you played a serious, dramatic role. Is movie acting what you want?
Yeah, I think personally I would like to do comedy. I think that I'd be better at that. I think that you have to have a lot of training, you know, and I know that as a singer and as a musician, it's taken a few years to really become as good as I like to be at it. And I don't, you know, I certainly would like to do it, and I think that a certain amount, I have a certain amount of natural ability, but I think that practice, you know, is very important. And like a lot of times kids ask me about getting a rock group together or becoming singers, and I always tell them that you really have to be good, you know, you have to practice a lot, and that's when you really get good.
Would you like to talk about your relationship with Chris Stein, the leader of Blondie?
No. He's my boyfriend.
Deborah Harry, thanks for talking with us. Now, let's turn the AT10 spotlight on the Soul Song of the Week. The only new song in this week's Soul Top 10 is by the girl who starred on Broadway as Dorothy in The Wiz, Stephanie Mills. And Stevie Wonder's former guitar player is in the Soul Top 10. That's Ray Parker Jr. at number 6 with his group Radio and 2 places at the same time. You know, Ray's been making money in Detroit with his guitar since he was 15. And moving on up, the number 1 song in the Soul chart this week, for the 3rd week in a row, is Don't Say Goodbye by the Isley Brothers. And now, the AT10 Soul Spotlight falls on a smash that not only hit number 1 on the Soul chart 5 weeks ago, but also hit number 1 on the Disco chart and is climbing on the Pop chart. The song is at number 7 on the Soul charts, and it's Stomp. Those are the Brothers Johnson with Stomp, the spotlight song on the Soul chart this week on America's Top 10. And coming up on America's Top 10, we'll find out whatever happened to the most successful recording act ever created for a television show. In the history of the pop singles chart, only one recording act ever occupied the 5 top positions all at the same time. The only acts who were ever popular enough to do anything like that are Bing Crosby, Elvis Presley, the Beatles, and the Bee Gees. So, which one had the top 5 records in the same week? And what were the records? The answer's coming up. First on America's Top 10, let's look at the country chart. Here it is from number 10 to number 1. This week's country top 10 has 2 new entries. At number 10, Don't Fall in Love with a Dreamer by Kenny Rogers with Kim Carnes. And at number 8, Good Old Boys Like Me by Don Williams. And there's the man with 24 number 1s, Merle Haggard. He's at number 4 this week. And moving into the number 1 spot this week in the country chart, Beneath Still Waters by Emmylou Harris. Now, the answer to that question from the world of pop trivia, and this one's a super fact. Only one recording act in the history of the pop singles chart has ever had 5 records in the top 5 positions, all at the same time. And if you picked the Beatles, then you got it. April 4th, 1964. These were the top 5 songs. Can't Buy Me Love, Twist and Shout, She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and Please Please Me. Fantastic. Now, on with America's Top 10 and our Pop Spotlight Song of the Week. It's one of the top 10 on Billboard's Pop Singles chart. And here they are, from number 10 to number 1. At number 10 is Jimmy Ruffin with his first pop hit in 13 years, Hold On to My Love. At number 9, Don't Fall in Love with a Dreamer by Kenny Rogers with Kim Carnes. Number 8, Sexy Eyes by the band who formed in Union City, New Jersey, blossomed in San Francisco, and they now live in Nashville. Number 7, You May Be Right by the piano man Billy Joel. Number 6 is Bob Seger's 3rd top 10 hit, Fire Lake. Number 5 is the number 1 single from Pink Floyd's number 1 album, Another Brick in the Wall. Number 4 is one of the gentlest ballads to hit the charts in a long time, Billy Preston and Sarita's With You I'm Born Again. At number 3 is a brand new act to the American charts, an Australian group called Air Supply with a great song called Lost in Love. Number 2, Ride Like the Wind is by another newcomer, Christopher Cross from Texas. And at number 1, for the 4th straight week, is the song by the group whose lead singer we talked with just a few minutes ago, Call Me by Blondie. Now, the AT10 Pop Spotlight this week falls on the hit by a band from Kookaburra and the Kangaroo. They toured the USA just a few years ago as the openers in Rod Stewart's show. Now they're back, but on their own, with the number 3 song in America, Lost in Love. The Australian rock band Air Supply. That's the Australian band Air Supply with the Pop Spotlight Song of the Week, Lost in Love, the 3rd most popular song in America. In a moment, we'll see what's coming up on next week's America's Top 10. Next week on America's Top 10, we'll do an update on the life of one of rock and roll's most flamboyant characters and pioneers, an absolute original named Little Richard, the man the Beatles say was their main inspiration. These days, it's reported Little Richard devotes his time to religion and to selling Bibles. We'll find out next week when once again we review the top 10 on the pop, the soul, the country, and the album charts. I'm Casey Kasem. Till next week, keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
America's Top 10 was brought to you in part by the people in your town who bring you delicious, refreshing Coca-Cola and invite you to have a Coke and a smile. If you have any questions about pop music, jot them down and send them to America's Top 10, Box 1019, Hollywood, California, 90028.